In the 19th century, the factory became one of the great symbols of modern life. A worker could spend the day surrounded by noise, smoke, iron, and repetition. He might make cloth he would never wear, a chair he would never sit on, or a product whose final journey he would never see. His hands created value, however, the value moved away from him. The object left the factory, the worker remained behind. This was the world Karl Marx tried to understand. For Marx, the problem was not only low wages or long hours, it was the separation of the human being from the work through which human life expresses itself. The worker became alienated from the product, from the process of labor, from other workers, and from his own human possibility. Alienation meant estrangement, a person becoming separated from what they make, what they do, and what they could become. However, Marx was not right about everything. His expectation that capitalism would simply collapse into the future he imagined did not unfold in that clean, historical way. Capitalist societies adapted. They expanded production, built welfare systems in some places, regulated some forms of exploitation, and created enormous technological wealth. Yet one question remained alive. What happens when people become separated from the activities that make them human? Then work moved through stages. Steam and factories changed physical labor. Electricity and mass production changed speed and scale. Offices, computers, and networks changed information work. Meanwhile, computing power grew. Data multiplied. Algorithms became better at recognizing patterns, translating language, predicting behavior, and generating content. Slowly, these abilities gathered under one name: artificial intelligence. It did not first appear like a monster at the door. It appeared as convenience, search, correction, translation, recommendations, filters, small digital assistants. But something had shifted. The old machine extended the hand. The computer extended calculation. Artificial intelligence began to extend the mind. At first, this seemed like ordinary convenience. AI helped people search faster, correct grammar, translate sentences, filter spam, suggest routes, sort files, and complete small tasks. However, as the systems became more capable, the question changed. The question was no longer simply, what can the machine do for us? It became, what will we stop doing for ourselves? Consider a classroom where a student once read, struggled, wrote, and submitted an essay. A teacher read it, noticed the student's thinking, and responded with correction. However, in the new classroom, the student may ask AI to write the essay. The teacher may ask AI to grade it. The feedback may be generated by AI, and the student may ask another system to summarize that feedback. Everything is efficient, yet the question becomes uncomfortable. Did the student think? Did the teacher read? And did the two minds ever meet? This is alienation from intellectual labor. The student becomes separated from writing as a form of thinking. The teacher becomes separated from reading as an act of judgment. Meanwhile, both remain inside the educational system. They submit, evaluate, respond, and move on. Yet the central human activity has been hollowed out. Education still happens on paper, however, the encounter between minds becomes thinner. The same pattern moves beyond school. A customer writes to a company, but the reply may be machine-generated. A job applicant sends a CV, but an algorithm may filter it before a person reads it. A manager sends an AI-polished message to an employee. The employee uses AI to craft the reply. Communication continues, however, direct encounter becomes uncertain. People speak, yet they cannot always tell whether another person has truly met them on the other side. Social media had already prepared us for this. Before AI, people were already learning to perform themselves through feeds, profiles, filters, likes, and metrics. Now, AI adds another layer. The caption may be generated, the image may be generated, the comment may be generated, the reply may be generated, and the person reading it may ask AI to summarize the conversation. Therefore, we may have more language than ever and less certainty of contact. There is also alienation from self-development. Human beings do not become capable simply by receiving answers. They become capable by passing through memory, argument, confusion, revision, practice, and failure. A child struggling with a sentence is not only finishing homework. A student wrestling with an idea is not only producing an essay. A programmer debugging code is not only fixing software. These struggles form the mind. Of course, over the years, human progress has removed certain burdens. Machines carried loads, calculators handled arithmetic, search engines organized information. However, if every difficult intellectual act becomes something we outsource, thinking may stop being a lived activity and become a service. We would no longer write, we would request writing. We would no longer reason, we would request reasoning. Now, the question is not whether AI should exist, but what humans should continue doing for themselves. A tool can assist thought without replacing the thinker. A tool can support learning without removing the learner. A tool can improve communication without standing permanently between one person and another. The warning is quiet. It is not a dramatic robot uprising. It is a student who no longer writes, a teacher who no longer reads, a worker who no longer judges, a friend who no longer speaks directly, and a society that still produces language while producing less human encounter. Marx feared a world where workers became estranged from their labor. The AI age may produce a more intimate estrangement, humans separated from their own cognition. Therefore, the final danger may not be that machines will replace humans in one spectacular moment. It may be that humans will slowly replace parts of themselves, their attention, their judgment, their patience, their effort, their voice. The machine may not need to conquer us. We may simply keep handing ourselves over, one convenient task at a time.